Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast, built for real estate professionals that want to work less, earn more, and make an impact in their community. For information on how you can become part of the estate professionals community, visit probatemastery.com. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So if you're new here, this is the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast, mastermind Zoom call, YouTube, whatever. A lot of people listen to this after the fact. If you're here live and you heard something that you want to catch later, grab your favorite podcast app or go to YouTube, look up YouTube Probate Mastery. You can watch these coaching calls after the fact as well. Obviously, I like being here for people that have live questions. We already had one that kind of came in that we're going to come back to in just a moment. If you're looking after the fact, it's the on podcast platform. It's called the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast. So we are here to kind of answer questions, to hear your success stories, to get some ideas from other peers of yours that may be doing things extremely well. So if you guys have anything at all that you'd like to share or contribute or ask, I want you guys to go down to the bottom of your screen, hover over your little Zoom screen. Your control panel is going to pop up at the bottom. Click React, little heart, React, and then click the bar that says Raise Hand. And I'll give you guys a shout out and you'll be able to ask your question. Before I dive into things that I kind of want to talk about today, I do want to go to Jeff's question. So Jeff, for the sake of those that weren't here a little bit ago, ask your question again.
Okay. Basically, I asked what and who. There's a lot of templates out there. I know all the leads have, and I'm sure there's a few others out there as far as websites go. Mm-hmm. Basically, a template we would just change for our specific areas.
Yeah. Yep. So I have found, and I've looked for others, I've found that probably the easiest is go with all the leads. They're already geared toward probate. So it's really an estate administration template that you want to run with. And I wanted to come back to that. I wanted to give you this convoluted answer because there's a lot that goes into your thinking around a credibility website. Not a lot that goes into a credibility website, but a lot that goes into your thinking. So the first thing that I want you guys to recognize is that a credibility website that's geared toward kind of a probate process, it's really there for the people that you've had some kind of an interaction with. In the early days, you're not going to have a lot of SEO presence. So if somebody goes in and says, who's the best real estate agent that can help me sell my inherited property that's in probate, it's not going to pop up quite that easy. Number one is that's not a common search term. They're looking for other things. So people early in your website's life are not just naturally going to be coming and finding you. They will be coming to your site to check out what you do after your mail. After maybe they've seen a video, if you do any video content, they've seen a video that you've directed them to your website. They maybe you're running a social media ad that's a little advanced for most of you. So I don't want everyone running out and jumping on social media and running ads. More than likely, you've talked to them on the phone, you've put them in your pipeline, and you've asked them to go check your website out. And you've reminded them through mail. So our websites are very much just there to make you look good and look more like a professional to someone who might be secretly shopping you. If you have a conversation with someone, Jeff, or anyone else on this call, and you say, hey, I'm a probate expert, and then they go look you up and they see I help first-time home buyers, they're more likely not going to think of you as an expert in the inherited property space. So I want them to have a place to go and look and find that I am credible in probate. And now I want to speak to what we're credible in. So I just said probate. I want to be credible in estate administration. estate administration. I don't only want to catch people in probate. I'd like to potentially catch people in pre-probate. I'd like to catch attorneys. I'd like to catch some of my vendors. And when we're probate exclusive on our website and our domain name, on our website, when everything's probate, 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 I think that people that don't really know might jump off of our site. So I like to reference, even if it's not in my domain name, I like to reference estate administration support, guidance, assistance, that kind of thing. So estate administration just kind of catches everyone who has an estate that they're settling, whether they need probate or not. In the early days of my probate business, I would talk to people and I'd ask about the property, and they would say, "No, we don't have property in probate." And I'd say, "Okay, have a good day," and I'd leave them alone. And then I'd find out later that they didn't have a house in probate, but they had a house that was being inherited and it just got to skip probate. And by being very heavy on the probate language, some people don't understand that I also help with estate administration
Uh,
needs and houses that are not in the probate process. So back to the websites. And unfortunately, Jeff jumped on a phone. I think All the Leads has the best templates that I've seen. I haven't seen other templates that other companies have that specialize or specifically designed for probate and estate administration. Now, over time, if you guys are going to get a website, I would get the backend login credentials for it, especially if it's a WordPress based theme or something like that. And I know All the Leads are. I would get that and I would play around with your design a little bit. I would add video to it. I would probably add some blogs. I would work on the SEO of that website to make it where over time people can find you if they're just Googling around for how to do probate in my area. How much does probate cost? Who's the best attorney? Just common Google terms. I want to have content on my website that makes my site rank under those search terms as well. And they don't come out of the box that way. That takes a little bit of input and work over time. All right, Jeff, I'm not sure if you heard that part. Front of the call, if you go back and listen to the recording, you got it. Okay, other questions, guys. What do we have? So, Mikkel, what do you got?
Yeah, so this question is about because obviously for probate, these are really long-term leads that we have to nurture. I think I have the initial phone call down with the concierge service, but what do those follow-up calls sound like? How do you make it relevant? How do you make it not just sound like you have the same value proposition calling over and over again, if that kind of makes
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. So follow up. You've already had a talk with them, right? Okay. And before I answer that, Saul, I accidentally lowered your hand on a totally accident. So if you'll pop your hand back up, I'll call on you in a minute. Um, so when I call someone, it would go something like this. Mikkel, hey, Bruce Hill, how's it going? Mikkel, listen, I don't know if you remember me. Do you remember we talked a month or two ago about your state administration process? Yeah. Hey, listen, back then you mentioned that everything was kind of covered at this point. I'd sent you that. I sent you the information through email or a package or a letter or something like that. You said then that you guys probably weren't going to decide on the real estate. Let's bring the real estate into it. You probably weren't going to decide on that until somewhere around August, September. Just wanted to see if that was still kind of a time frame for when you were talking about that, or if anything's maybe changed. So I'm gonna pull in what what they told me. You said this. I wanted to find out if anything had changed or if that was still the time frame.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that if they gave you a time frame for a house, that time frame was most likely an exaggeration on the long end. So I don't want to call if they said September, I don't want to call in September. And then they don't remember what they've told people a lot of times. So let's say they said September. I'm usually going to say, hey, back then you mentioned that you guys probably weren't going to have any discussions with family on real estate until sometime around August, maybe September. So I'm gonna kind of shorten it, lean on the shorter side of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just wanted to see if that was still the time frame or if maybe something had changed.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's the second you don't mention value pieces if you send mail or like that. You just kind of start leaning more towards the real estate. 'Cause let's just say you do two, three, four, five, you know.
Ask that again.
So let's just say you send a value piece
Yeah.
through the mail or you send an email. You don't talk as much about it. You more reference, try to get an answer on the real estate.
Yeah. So much of this is going to depend on what we talked about on on that earlier call. So I'm hoping that I would have had a real estate discussion on that earlier call, and so that's why I kind of pulled the real estate into that call. If we didn't talk about real estate, then I'm going to say, yeah, you mentioned that that I should probably send you that value piece, whatever you're sending. I just kind of wanted to make sure you got that. You'd also said that you guys were really early in the process before, and that you were still trying to pick an attorney. Did you find an attorney? I don't know. I don't know what they said on that first call, so I'm kind of gonna take whatever I wrote down that they said they told me. We hadn't found an attorney. We want to get further through probate. Hey, we'll look at your box. Hey, we've got to talk to the family about real estate, but we're not going to do it yet. Whatever they kind of gave me, and I'm going to reference that. And then it's always, I wanted to see, did that happen? Or is that still the time frame? Or is anything changed? So it's always kind of a, here's the reference point. You said this. Is that still relevant or has anything changed?
Okay, perfect. Case by case. Thank you so
Yeah.
much,
And I
Bruce.
hope that it's real estate that I can reference. Listen, I don't force real estate into my calls. If I can tell that the person's just desperately trying to get rid of me, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna just sit there and push real estate, push real estate, push real estate. So sometimes when I do that follow-up call, we never even talked about real estate before. But I'm gonna try to bring it into as many calls as I can without being completely insensitive. Cool. Awesome. Saul, sorry for lowering your hand earlier. What's going on?
Yes, hi. Okay. No, not a problem. So I have a follow-up question from what you said before, and then I have another question.
Hmm.
So basically, you were saying about all the leads is a good
Hmm.
source for getting the leads. And just to clarify, I'm just starting the process now. I didn't even take the course yet.
Hmm.
So I started to get some information from all the leads, and they were prohibitively really expensive. I mean, for two counties near me,
Hmm.
talking about like $1,600 a month
Oh gosh. Whew. Okay. Yeah.
just for two counties,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and one county was like 700-800.
Okay.
Still a lot, but
Yeah.
so I don't know if you have any ideas how to
I
lead.
do.
Yeah.
In general, I try to stay pretty lead source agnostic here. Now, what I was mentioning earlier was about their websites. So a lot of people frequently will come to me and say, "Well, I'm not getting my leads from all the leads, so I can't get a website from all the leads." And that's not true. You can get a website. They can handle all kinds of different things, even if you don't have their leads. Um, so we're pretty agnostic when it comes to who you get your leads from or how you get them. Some people don't buy leads at all. They just work attorneys. They go through public records through the newspapers, online. ATL, I'm going to assume that you have some rather large lead counts in your county because the average county through all the leads usually costs somewhere in the $300 to $350 a month range. Unless you're with a big, and unless you've got big lead counts, and then it can go higher. So, for example, my county runs about $500 a month. All the leads also will negotiate. So, if you find a better lead source, go back to them and say, hey, can you price match or get close to this? I've found that most of the other lead providers out there don't have all the tools that ATL has, so they may not exactly price match, but if you can kind of show them, look, you're way off. I'm going somewhere else. They'll usually do something. A couple of other sources that I like for leads would be Foreclosures Daily. Issue with Foreclosures Daily is they don't automatically come with phone numbers. You're gonna need to end up skip tracing, and they have a skip tracing service you can pay a little bit more for, and it's on a spreadsheet, so you don't have any kind of CRM or backend system to be able to work it. Good thing with them is their pricing is good and they deliver weekly. So if you want your leads a little faster than everyone else, Foreclosures Daily is a good platform. I personally don't care if my leads come out weekly or monthly because I know that the average person in probate doesn't have a mortgage on the house and it might be 5 or 6 months before they sell. But there's still some advantages to getting leads fast. Some people like the advantage, some people don't. I don't care. Okay. US Probate Leads is another company that has good probate leads delivered monthly. So those are kind of the three platforms I like to get leads. If you're in California, there's another one, Probate Money, Probate Cash. If you're in California, no, somebody can drop it in chat. But those are the three that do kind of national. And I would kind of look at all three of those, regardless of what you do from a leads standpoint. I think it's important that everyone have content online where people can make sure that you're credible in the probate and the estate space. And I do definitely like the ATL templated probate credibility site. There's a bunch of templates that they have.
Oh, so just to back up, so the ATL place, they would actually set up a website for me,
Sure.
or
Yep.
that's
Yep.
a separate fee for, if I don't have to go with the leads with them, just for them to set
Yep.
up my website, and you
Correct.
recommend doing that?
Yeah, same with mail as well. They'll run a mail campaign for you on autopilot as well, regardless of whether leads are there. I think if leads are there, they'll probably give you some um, beneficial pricing on those things. But the bottom line is the lead industry and the data industry gets pretty competitive from time to time, and there's always new players in. And anytime somebody's just beating another company that I want, maybe I want to go with a company, but it's just the price is prohibitive. A lot of times I'll just go back to the company I'd like to and say, look, I'm kind of stuck here. I've got this price over here. What can you do? And there's usually some leeway. And I know with ATL, having been on staff with them a few years ago, I'm not currently there. I know that they'll help you out.
Okay. Well, I pushed back on the price with them,
Hmm.
and when I did, I actually spoke to the owner of the company, some Jim Sullivan, I think it was.
Okay.
Um, and he had said that they could give me different leads for people that are late on their mortgage payments or something like that.
Got it. But you want probate? You're more interested in probate?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't even think about that part. I'm not sure if that's
I
any.
like probate. Listen, we're here to kind of talk probate. I like there's a ton of different types of leads that I like. I do find that when you're cold outreaching people, either through marketing or prospecting, it's usually best to just pick a single lane and go. And I've picked the probate lane, and I don't really break outside of the probate lane a lot when it comes to the chase side of my business. I'm chasing a relationship with someone that didn't know me before. Um, uh, doesn't mean that your late mortgage leads and your divorce leads and things like that aren't good. They're just not leads that I have chosen to pursue a lot because probate's been good to me.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I kind of also was, you know, he kind of caught me off guard on that, so I
Sure.
didn't want to go that route, because like you said, I want to be in the other lane. But
Those that know Jim know Jim's as ADHD as I am. So I wouldn't say anything. I'd just call and I'd ask again, just not
yeah,
Jim. Yeah. Um, he probably saw a shiny squirrel or a squirrel run by that said late mortgage and was like, oh yeah, let me talk about late mortgage. I
They
know,
just said
I
that,
know. Knowing Jim, he wasn't trying to steer you away from what you were asking about.
he was just saying I could get better pricing on that. So, but I
Yeah.
kind of, I had to cut the conversation short because I was in the middle of doing something. So
Hmm.
it's good advice that you just told me, and I'm going to follow up. But the
Yep.
other question I had for you was when I had discussed with an attorney a friend of mine that is in the estate planning business, and I tried to explain to him what I'm going to be doing, and he didn't understand. I obviously didn't explain it very well, but he didn't
Hmm.
understand. The way I explained it is like, well, you're not allowed to give advice. You're not a lawyer. You're not an attorney, and so forth. So I didn't know how
Mm.
to present that. I didn't know how to ask him about it because he kind of was right. I'm like telling them I could give you advice because I have a certificate of you know of
Hmm.
master of probate master.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to explain it to him, so maybe you could put some light, shed some light.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to steer away from the word advice when I'm talking to attorneys. Okay. And this is in general an overview of how I would describe the service. And if I'm talking to an attorney and we know each other, I'm probably going to go a little bit deeper than this. But if I'm talking to someone, an attorney or a family that we don't really know each other very well at this point, I'm going to keep it to a really broad brushstroke. So essentially, what I do is I provide resources and some guidance and different connections that are often needed as probate progresses. Um, I don't want to bore you with a million details. Did you just start with probate, or have you been in the middle of it for a little while? Okay, I kept it. That's an example of if I'm talking to a family that I've just solicited. I want to get off of the broad brushstroke, and I want to direct the call with a question. Now, if it's an attorney, I might give some examples. So I provide basic resources, guidance, and connections that a lot of families need through probate. Could be anything from helping kind of navigate real estate needs, selling, getting offers, property management, maintenance, repairs, anything with real estate. I have also have some resources when it comes to a personal property. So if they need an appraisal or a clean out or an estate sale, I kind of manage that process. And then ultimately, what I really do is provide the connections that families need. So even if they need insurance or a financial planner for their inheritance or someone to do their taxes, I've got the connections to help with that. The idea here, Saul, that was not a script. The idea here is I want to, as succinctly as possible, present the idea that I help with anything that they're facing from A to Z in probate. And if somebody's not a friend of mine and we're not in a nice back and forth conversation, I try to keep it really, really tight in a couple of sentences. If I feel like there's back and forth and I've got some room to describe a few things, I'll I'll describe a few extra things categorically. Real estate, personal property, vendor connections. But most of the time, I don't even get into those three things: real estate, personal property, vendor connections. Most of the time, I don't do that. I say, I don't want to bore you with a million details. Can I ask, did you just start with probate or have you been in the middle of it for a little while? I'm trying to get off of pitch mode and into conversation mode. Now, your scenario, I gave some examples because you were having a talk with an attorney. Steer away from advice, though. Some attorneys tend to think that you're stepping into their lane, and you're not. You're not
Right.
stepping into their lane. I could give you advice on anything. I'm giving you advice right now. Am I an attorney? No, I'm still giving you advice. Okay, so I don't quite understand the attorneys that say you're not allowed to give advice. Sure you can. Sure you can.
They're lawyers, and that's that's the way they speak.
Yeah.
But as far as this, could I bring any value to the fact that I have a certificate of some sort?
Yeah, yeah. So certified, basically, I've gone through the process of kind of training on being able to provide value. I've gotten a designation called a certified probate expert designation. And essentially, it's given me the tools to be able to fill in with a family or someone in probate in areas where you may not directly help them. So if they need to list a house or they need an offer or they need someone to coordinate lawn care or a clean out or an estate sale, I cover those things that maybe you in your field aren't doing for them. I don't push the certified probate expert designation a lot with attorneys. If I mention it, I'm trying to move on, and then I'm just trying to move past it a little bit. I want to show them that I got the training, but I'm not pushing it a lot. Why? Because an attorney, especially one with an ego, and they don't all have egos, but some do. The word expert, they're like, wait a minute, I'm the expert here. So I don't want to camp out on being a certified probate expert with someone that is has an ego and has probably had more education in the probate space than I have. Okay, so you as a certified probate expert have learned how to communicate and offer valuable service to the family that picks up maybe where the attorney left off outside of the legal arena. Hey guys, I'm butting in here with a quick ask. If you're getting value out of this coaching today, I want to invite you to check out my Probate Mastery trainings over at www.probatemastery.com. Probate Mastery is for you if you're an agent or an investor that wants to work with motivated sellers that have inherited real estate that they don't need and in many cases can't afford. These sellers are more appreciative, willing to trust your expertise, and less likely to nickel and dime you over commission or price. Why is that? They're often in the middle of a complex probate or an estate administration process, and this means that real estate is very often a burden on them, and they simply need the help. Inside of Probate Mastery, I teach you exactly where to source your leads, how to establish value, and offer your service in a way that quickly makes you, as the professional, your market's expert in the probate space. If you want to know a little bit more, go over to www.probatemastery.com. Hope to see you guys inside of the community. Thanks. Bill Gross has his hand up. He usually has something to contribute that's on topic, so I'm not skipping Lou and Matthew. I think that Bill probably has something to contribute to this particular conversation. Bill, are you there?
Well, if I didn't, I certainly do now. Thank you for the heavy hint.
Yeah.
No, I do. I would say to solve two things. One is, you're in the process of selling to the attorney. Selling, and this is a line I got from Mike Ferry years ago, selling isn't telling, selling is asking questions. Mm-hmm. So the first thing you do is when they ask that question, you want to get back to asking a question so you're in control of the conversation. And the second is, I think, mistake I see people make in this situation like you is, or that you're asking, I think, is how do I answer the attorney in a way that he'll respect my work with the customer, which is his customer, which might compete with him for his customer's affection and love, versus the opposite, which is ask questions like, what are the biggest problems that you have in working with your clients outside of the law that might deal with real estate that I could help with? Mm-hmm. And you're trying to get him to say something that hits in the area that you want to deal with: estate sales, cleanouts, loans, advances, whatever it is that you're going to do, customer service, interaction, signing documents. And also ask questions that his customers have that he doesn't solve, but he sees his customers having in the course of a probate that perhaps you can help with. And then we say something like, well, all the stuff, all the non-real estate. That's exactly why I have this program to help customers like you and attorneys like you to solve the problem and explain how I do it. So he's going to tell you what's important to him or her, and then you can answer it rather than you assuming it's one. You're going to pull out one tool for your toolbox and talk about how good it is. Ask him which tool he likes best and make sure you sell how you can use that. That would be my best answer.
I love the framing of that question. Outside of the law, okay, what do you find that your clients need or run into, or where maybe they get stuck? Okay, so outside of the law is the frame. And now they tell you how to pitch them, basically. I like it.
Yeah, and I've had answers a whole range of things. Oh, they just don't have the money to pay for the stuff they have to pay for. Well, I can help with that. Well, they're not bondable because they have credit. I can help with that.
Hmm.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff. I can help with that. So whatever the answer is, that's what we help with. Rather than say I can do 50 things, get them to answer the one or two that they feel are important, and then show how you answer those problems.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I want to draw kind of a connection between Bill's statement that selling is asking questions. Anytime I'm answering something from someone, so the example of I gave you how I would answer the attorney. I always want to button it up. People aren't super interested in all the details, and we could be sitting there explaining details that they have no interest in at all. So I always want to be able to present something in a way that I'm wrapping
Hey,
my
speaking.
presentation of value up
Hello?
really quick. 1 second. Hey, Bob. Oh, there you go. Okay. I'm wrapping that up extremely fast and then moving to a question that directs them. And you guys that have been around me know that I like binary questions. So I like to present this or that. So um, if it's a personal representative, it's did you guys just recently apply for probate or have you been in the middle of it? It might be, hey, do you guys have a good attorney you're working with, or are you kind of doing this alone? With an attorney, I might say, are most of your clients handling the real estate side of it outside of kind of on their own, or are you also helping with that? So I like to present two different options when I ask my questions, and then that way people feel like there's a choice in how they answer. The reality is, I'm in complete control no matter what answer they give me. And sometimes I'll give an answer with the choice, and I already know what the answer is, especially the one, did you guys just get started with probate recently, or have you been in the middle of it for a little while? It gives them the feeling of choice in the conversation. But I know what they're going to say because I can see when they applied. Okay. So get to the questions as fast as possible. Bill, if you have something else to chime in with, just unmute yourself. You're always free to unmute yourself. Lou, let's go to any question that you saw, and then I'm going to come to Matthew.
Yeah, so Ron Callahan says on the concierge services, is there a training on how
On
to,
concierge services?
yeah, is it on how to determine pricing for estate sales, moving services, clean outs, etc.?
Sure. No, there's not. Um, but I'll give you the basics of two ways that you can think about it. You can present yourself as a concierge um, for a flat fee. You could present yourself as a concierge on at an hourly price. You could go to a third party, or you could do it for free. So I go to a third party. My third party website is called consideritdoneasap.com. That's just if anyone wants to go see what they look like. They don't work outside of my area, but it's essentially someone that manages tasks for shut-ins and busy professionals and me when I've kind of offered a service to someone. When I offer these concierge-like services to people, I say in a lot of cases, I will cover the cost, specifically if there's real estate involved and I'm going to help you with that. If there's not, I could kind of coordinate this and give you a proposal of what we could cover for you and how much it would cost. And then I go to my third party and they give me a price. And I'm not looking to make money as myself. There's a guy named Chuck Seark that some of you guys know, and Chuck actually would charge for those services. So he set it up as though the concierge program that helps with estate administration and probate was for profit. That was his primary initial offer, and he would a lot of times charge $2,500 to $3,500 for estate
Watch it in
administration
your pocket.
services. So you could do that. Most of the time, I just don't charge anything for those things if I'm gonna be involved in the real estate, and I make it really clear in the name in my early conversations. Look, I do a lot of things for people. I come up with a list. If you're going to sell the house, and I know not everyone's going to sell, but if I could list the property or potentially buy the property, I'll do this stuff for you, and I'm not interested in charging you anything. I just want to help out. Obviously, if I'm helping and you guys are going to keep the house or sell it separately, I'll give you a bid and we'll just come up with a reasonable price to have me handle certain tasks for you. Is that fair? And normally the answer is yes. My concierge charges $40 an hour. You could charge $40, $50 an hour. You could do it a flat fee. One of our students, Courtney Rollins, he does it on a flat fee. He's usually anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 to essentially step in and take care of coordinating things for you. But a lot of times the coordination doesn't include the third party services. So if I'm charging hourly, I'm not charging hourly to coordinate and cut your grass for you. I'm not charging hourly to coordinate and change the lock for you. I'm charging hourly to coordinate everything for you. And if that means that we have to bring third parties in to provide bids, those also need to be paid. I'm just going to help you find the best service for the best price and streamline the process so that you're not having to coordinate everything. Okay, estate sale companies, they a lot of times they're taking anywhere from 25 to 45% of the value of what they sell. That is extra and above what I may charge to coordinate and be your concierge. All
Well,
right.
there's a second part to the second question here.
Mhm.
Also, are you still using the no commission to estate auction-like program? And do you have a how-to for signing up for that through your sponsorship? Thanks, Bruce.
Yep. So not through my sponsorship right now. I'm probably going to go back to recommending that company soon. I just haven't given a lot of thought. I went onto their board for a little while, and it just life got busy. Probate Mastery got busy, and I came off of their board of advisors. So I haven't kind of pushed that program. It's called Easy Real Estate Platform. So Edgar Zebra, the initials, realestateplatform.com. And essentially, what it does is you list a property. You generally don't charge the seller any or much commission. You put a buyer premium on the back end. So if you do something like this, you've got to list the house at a really aggressive price that gets a lot of buyer attention because the buyer is going to add on top of whatever their price is that they offer. They're going to add a buyer premium. So let's say it's $100,000 house, you list it for $85,000 and you say to the buyer in your disclosure on that site, say put a bid in here and 5% is going to get added to your price to cover commissions. That would be a way that I would offer a 0% listing to a seller. It's a great USP that gets sellers' attention. I tried it for a little bit and I just decided that I wanted to work a few wrinkles out before I kind of pushed it out to the community anymore. There's definitely some wrinkles in that process. You got to list the house at an aggressive price and you've got to be extremely transparent with the buyer's agents and the buyers that they're adding 5, 6, 7% to their price that they're bidding. And you just need to be able to explain it well.
We have Matthew.
Hey, Bruce. Good afternoon. How are you?
Really good, really good. How's it going?
Good. Good. Hey, I wanted to circle back with something I noticed when Saul was talking.
Mhm.
Saul, I've been a realtor in the business for 35 years, and I think part of what you're going through is you're putting the cart before the horse. You had mentioned that you hadn't yet taken the probate mastery course, but you were trying to have an intelligent conversation with an attorney. That's a recipe for disaster. The whole purpose of the probate mastery course, because I'm in the middle of it myself right now going through it, and as a realtor with 35 years of experience, it has absolutely expanded my knowledge threefold. So that I can have a conversation about services. I can have a conversation about estate sales rather than talk about giving advice. Attorneys don't like that word. I like to make suggestions. I like to offer services outside of the attorney's scope of work. But I think that if you were to go ahead and take the time and spend the money to take both the probate mastery course in tandem with the earn course, and no, Bruce didn't pay me to say this, okay? I think that a lot of your questions will be answered, number one, and number two, you'll be able to enter those conversations with a whole lot more confidence and just the knowledge that you have the knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And
Just my suggestion.
Matthew, thank you so much. No, I didn't. I probably need to pay you for that. I will
Okay,
say,
I'll hold my breath and wait for the check.
yeah, right. Yes. Be passed out here pretty soon.
Right, exactly.
So I will say that once you get this head full of knowledge, you need to sit down and think for a little bit about how you can summarize that knowledge inside of a few sentences. Because what you learn in 19 hours, almost about 20 hours in probate mastery as you go through that, and 7 hours in earn, what you learn is how to think about and how to approach the business. You need to be able to, in a couple of sentences, a couple of minutes at most. If you've got a good back and forth, you can take a couple of minutes. But if there's not a good back and forth, in a couple of sentences, just button up an overview of your service and quickly just have a great question that you've kind of rehearsed a little bit. And I'm not a huge fan of scripts, but I use the same questions all the time. Like I've just memorized my questions. I always want to follow up whatever I've described with a great question that guides that conversation the way that I want to guide it. So good stuff, Matthew. All right. Who else? So Cam, they hate when you call yourself certified. That's kind of true. It's kind of true. I really don't, and this is not self-serving at all. It actually hurts me if I'm trying to encourage you guys to go take our probate mastery course and get certified. I want you certified. When I am communicating with attorneys, I really avoid telling them that I'm a certified probate expert. So I want you certified so that you have the knowledge and the resources and know how to structure your business. I'm not pushing it very hard when it comes to talking with attorneys. And I had an attorney that ended up being a really good friend of mine that after we became friends, he asked if he could be honest. And I said, yeah. And he said, you saying you're a certified probate expert is kind of a slap in the face to me because what'd you do? Take a 10-hour class? Now, our class is 20 hours, but he goes, what'd you do? Take a 10-hour class? I went to law school and I passed the bar. So in other words, shut up. Don't tell me about being certified. So I just don't push my certification on attorneys into that conversation. Now, in my marketing, which the attorneys may get, I'm definitely putting the logo and the certification in there. So marketing, yes, when I'm talking to families about probate, they're going through probate directly. Yeah, I talk about being a certified probate expert. I put it in marketing there, but face to face, voice to voice with an attorney, I'm minimizing it. All right. Concierge place. My area is Raleigh, North Carolina, Triangle of North Carolina, and Winston dropped the website. It's Consider It Done, asap.com, if anyone wanted to look at them. It's not a fancy website. It just kind of is who I worked with. I really love having a concierge that I can work side by side with because I've got a big Rolodex of vendors that I could introduce to families in probate. If they need someone to clean the gutters, I've got someone landscaping, I've got someone locksmiths, I've got someone plumbers, I've got a little bit of everyone. When I'm meeting with a family that's going through probate and I'm looking for things that they might need, sometimes I'm finding some needs that I don't have a vendor for. It doesn't mean that I can't get a vendor or a service provider for that need. A lot of times I'll find 7 or 8 or 9 needs that I do have a vendor for. When I'm voice to voice on a phone in an initial conversation, it's pretty rare that the person goes, "Oh, you're a lifesaver. I want these 5 things." They don't know what they need. They don't know what they don't need. They're kind of clueless in the beginning, early in our relationship. But as I move into face to face and as I start to meet them and provide more value, I'm looking for things that I can take off of their plate that they didn't even know was on their plate. really frequently. I'll be at a house and I'll say, what are you guys going to do with the dishes? This is just a weird example. I hadn't even thought about it yet. It's on their plate. They didn't know it was. Okay. What are we going to do about winterizing? It's getting cold here. What are we going to do to winterize the property? I didn't know that was on my plate. So as the relationship progresses, you're going to find things that you can bring up that they didn't know that they were responsible for. And that's where this really helps. Now, once you get that list of things you're going to take care of them for them, they're going to love you more and more and more and more. But it's going to get more and more and more of a burden on your shoulders, especially if you're running a real estate business. We want to be out listing and getting clients, putting deals under contract, or buying houses if you're an investor. So that's why I kind of encourage having a third party that manages your services that you're providing. So oftentimes, if I'm face to face with someone and I go, "Hey, let me take care of these 5 things," I probably want to come back with my partner, and I'll refer to Sherry as my partner. Sherry runs consideritdoneasap.com. We're not business partners, but I present her as my partner. She kind of coordinates all this for me. And if I have the deal, I go, "Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of getting you prices and quotes and a outline for all of these things. All we need to do is come back and meet with the contractors. I need to meet with the landscapers. I need to get quotes for painting. I need this. I need that." I'll coordinate all of that. And it's kind of my partner and I will coordinate all that. And then I just pay Sherry separately. That's me because I know I've got the real estate deal. Most of the time I want something in writing, but I'm not above investing 10 hours of Sherry's time and the cost of 10 hours of her time to lock a deal down. And I'm not going to get mad if I roll the dice on spending that money and they turn around and go with someone else. I've just accepted it. I've had someone get extremely mad at me personally one time because they brought a dumpster in. And I came in and I said, "Do you guys got a dumpster?" And they said, "No, we met with another realtor the other day and they were talking to us about listing." Okay. And they brought this dumpster over. Well, I ended up getting the listing. And then the realtor that had brought the dumpster over called me and asked me to pay for it. No, that was a risk that you took. In my opinion, a smart risk. I would have done the same thing. I would have paid and had a dumpster brought over. But it's a risk that some people take to just cover costs before they have a locked up deal. And if you want to take that risk, go for it. If you have the money to take the risk, go for it. I do. So I'll take the risk and pay for things for them frequently if it's not too expensive, if I don't know that I have the deal yet. Because most of the time it's going to help secure the deal. Okay. Other questions, guys. So let me kind of go back here to summarizing your services. So you guys can summarize yourself as concierge, kind of a concierge that helps with probate. You could say, "Hey, I take care of almost everything with regard to probate and estate administration." There's that phrase again, estate administration. Kind of everything from A to Z. And instead of diving into 1,000 details, I would just say, "I don't want to get into a whole bunch of details that you haven't even asked about. Can I ask you?" And now we're back to a question. So we're back to asking a question and guiding the conversation and getting them involved in it. Hey Lou, what else do we have?
Yeah, so there was a follow-up question from Saul, just a little bit about what the Earn course is about.
Yep.
And I kind of
Earn.
I wrote in
Is
the
it
chat a little bit about it. And then
okay?
also we have James asking for advice for
Okay.
newbies that are doing it part-time.
Got it. So, real quick, for those, I think a lot of people know what EARN is, but there's always folks listening that have never even heard of it. EARN is an acronym for Earn Attorney Referrals Now. So, Probate Mastery as a course focuses on how you're going to provide value, resources, guidance, marketing, prospecting, run your appointments, build a real business, helping families navigate probate. So you are very much offering a service and helping the family directly. Earn goes to creating relationships and getting referrals from the attorneys that in a lot of cases get the relationship before we do as real estate professionals. So we're getting they're getting the relationship before us in a lot of cases. And if they can start referring us, it's easy business. Okay. So earn is all about how you approach and communicate with the attorney. It's about 7 hours on demand training in that course. Now let's take a look at James' question. All right. Can you give any general advice for newbies starting their probate real estate business part-time? Yeah, you know what? I run a probate business part-time. I don't want to speak out of both sides of my mouth here real quick or my face, but I dabble in production and I come in hard and then I step out for a little while. And this training is my primary business. But when I'm producing, I'm really going part-time. And essentially, if you're new, you have one job in the beginning, and it's to build your pipeline. And the fastest way to build your pipeline is to call people and offer resources. That's just the fastest way to build your pipeline. Get people to say, yes, I'll take your resources. Shift that conversation toward assets like real estate. So they go, yeah, send me the resources. And then I go, I really appreciate it. I'm going to pop that in the mail today, or I'll send you an email tonight. And then you go, before I jump off, a lot of people have assets that are involved in the estate, like real estate, vehicles, personal property, things like that, that either need to be transferred or sold. Do you guys have any assets that you may be leaning towards selling, or is it just too early for you guys to tell yet? That would be an example of a question. So now I've turned it toward assets or real estate. The thing is, once I have the pipeline, and I can do that with an hour a day, like I could get a person added to my pipeline every single day if I took an hour to call and offer those resources. Now it's just a matter of marketing, sending emails, doing follow-ups. It shouldn't be that hard as a part-time person. Now you could make this a full-time business. You could be out meeting vendors. You could be out connecting with attorneys. You could be networking. You could be spending 2 or 3 hours on the phone. You could be doing YouTube videos and writing blogs and building websites. And you could be doing a lot of different things, but you don't have to. If you could give it an hour a day or an hour 2 days a week to building your pipeline on the phone, you're going to be great. If you absolutely hate the phone, you say, I'm never going to be good at it, I'm never going to do it, I would take that time to connect with attorneys and arrange office visits, especially part-time. I'm assuming work is during the day. That's my assumption. If you don't have any time at all, at least put a mailing campaign together where you've got some mailers that are going out to people that have applied for probate, and have that run 5 or 6 months if you have absolutely no time to have conversations at all with attorneys or families. Anda.
Hey, Bruce, thank you for taking my question. I'm going to be a bit transparent and say that I've been struggling a bit with prioritizing time management and following through on all my weekly KPIs.
Okay.
And although I'm fully committed, I find it challenging to balance everything. It feels like I have a lot on my plate.
Okay.
Do you have can you share any tips or system that work for you? Where should I focus on? I know it's so complex, it's so many things to touch, but that's my struggle, to be honest.
Yes. 2 tips. And both of these are a little bit gonna sound a little bit conflicting with each other. But the first tip that I would have is everybody's busy, and you prioritize what you prioritize. So I'm insanely busy, and I've done my absolute best to not bring this up on calls anymore. I'm doing my absolute best to not reveal the cult that I'm in, but I'm in the cult of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, okay? I'm addicted. I go every single day. I try to talk about it whenever I can. And it's kind of embarrassing because I know that I've mentioned it to some people like 1,000 times and they just roll their eyes. But that is a priority of mine to go train it in the evening. And regardless of how busy I am, I always set that time aside. It's a non-negotiable for me. Okay, so the question is it a non-negotiable for you to hit your KPIs? If it is, set 2 hours aside in your days that you have a non-negotiable. I'm working on my KPIs. I'm working on making calls. I'm working on connecting with attorneys. I'm working on doing a video. You can get a lot done when it comes to KPIs in a relatively short amount of time if you prioritize it. It's the same way if I gave you a listing appointment tomorrow, assuming that you have a little opening in your day tomorrow, and I said, hey, I want you to come list my $1 million house tomorrow. You'd probably say, okay, what time? And when you go, you probably wouldn't be taking the doctor's appointment call, and you probably wouldn't let the distraction come in, and you most likely wouldn't be trying to deal with the landscaper that trims your hedges. You wouldn't be doing those. You're on the appointment for the time that you've designated to that appointment. You're there. You're 100% in, and the distractions are just going to have to wait. So if you want to grow your probate business, that's the way that you have to treat your KPIs. And it doesn't mean that it has to be 6 hours a day. An hour or two working on those 5 or 6 things that you've prioritized in your probate business is more than enough if you do it every day. Okay, alternative 2. So alternative 1 is every day I give it an hour or 2 hours specifically on KPI activities. Alternative 2 is you do what I end up doing, and I go into sprint mode. So I want to try something new, and I'll go into pure sprint mode. And it's like, okay, I've got 30 days to pack my pipeline as full as I possibly can, and I'm gonna be completely lopsided with my time management. I'm calling, I'm mailing, I'm doing attorney relationships, and I'm going after these things for 4 or 5 hours a day, and I'm just trying to pack my pipeline full. And once my pipeline gets 20, 30, 40 people in it, I'm just going to drop the cold outreach and the things that got me the pipeline, and I'm going to focus on nurturing my pipeline. And that way you go into seasons 2, 3, 4 times a year where you're sprinting for a few weeks or a month at a time. It's just this hard, aggressive sprint. I'm filling my pipeline up. And then you get your pipeline to a certain point and you go, okay, I'm just going to nurture these. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to look at the other things that I need to do with my life for a little while I nurture these leads and try to get people moved out of my pipeline into deal. So
Great insight.
yeah, I gotta say, the choice is yours. Right now, it's just a matter of what are you prioritizing ahead of your KPI activities.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay. Anybody else? My sister-in-law and my niece are about to leave and head to the airport. If there isn't anything else, I'm gonna go say bye to them. If there is, somebody better pop their hand up and slip it in real fast. Nope. Okay. Guys, really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Key takeaways today. Understand your service so well that you can summarize it, button it up in a really short explanation. And selling is not telling, selling is asking questions. So I love that. I love that expression. And I don't even know if I got it exactly right, Bill, but selling is asking questions and getting people to kind of tell you what they need or tell you what their clients need, and then you find a way to be a solution for those needs. Thank you guys so much for being here. See you next week.